Hello! Welcome back to Voice Essentials Live Hangout, the first one for 2025. So good to be spending this time with you all. I hope you are all well. I hope you are all in good spirit, good voice, and it's funny to say, but I kind of feel like, okay, the year is now officially started. We're doing our first live hangout for the year. Very exciting. I hope the last couple of months have been kind to you. Here in Australia, it's very much the summer period, the festive period, if you will. Most people celebrate Christmas, and then we go into New Year's. And anywho, it's good to be back with you. Believe it or not, this is actually my 4th week back of teaching voice. So I give myself that opportunity to sort of get back into the studio and get working with my private students again. And before we start the live show, and it's always good to take the break, because doing these live shows is there's a there's a bit that goes on behind the scenes, not only for me but also for Linda. Hello, Linda. And so it's always good to take a break, but I'm always super keen to be back. I think, remind me, Linda. Linda told me this at the end of last year. I think this is the start of our 9th year or something like that. Linda's keeping the stats. I don't have a really great mind for remembering. I'm going to call them empty stats because it's kind of neither here nor there. So let's catch up, shall we? I wanted to give you some personal news. We had a great holiday. One of those holidays where I knew it was going to be pretty tough to come back to work. And it's funny, as you know, I love what I do. But when you have, a really good holiday, it doesn't matter how much you love what you do. It's hard to crawl out of the big deep hole you've dug for yourself. And that was kind of what we did this year. In Australia, we have a national summer sport that gets followed by a lot of people called cricket. I love the form of the game, Test cricket. Watched a lot of cricket over the holidays, really relaxed, we went camping for 10 days, and that was pretty good. We actually got flooded in for 4 days, would you believe? Which wasn't a problem to us, but not a big problem. We had food and we had all of our supplies. We were fine, but there was a poor family who had come to visit another family at the campground we were in. They had come for a day trip just to say hello and swim in the creek. They left 4 days later. Can you believe it? So I really felt for them. But besides that, it was a pretty cool holiday. And my daughter got engaged. My eldest. How old am I? To my soon-to-be son-in-law, Jamie. And we're very excited for them both. I shared this news in the recent studio update email, so some of you already know this. But so we're very excited for them both. They make a lovely couple and really complement each other. It's something for those of us who have kids, I think we want our children to find life partners, if that's what they want to choose to do. Life partners that are going to be, are going to cause them to be a better self. Yeah, like when we find a life partner, we want them to complement and supplement us, and so anyway, we're observing that in their relationship over the last 12 months or so, and so that's lovely. I've got a big year ahead. My youngest daughter, she is finishing grade 12. Here in Australia, grade 12 is, for most people, the final year. There are a very, very select group of schools that do a year 13, but that's unusual. for most schools, year 12 is the final year of high school, and then you go on into TAFE or university or what have you. And my youngest, Taran, is about to finish. So that we're about to have the schooling years behind us. My wife and I, Jodie and I, do keep shaking our heads and going like it's all over in a blink of an eye. While you're in it, it doesn't feel like a blink of an eye. But anyway, that's where we're at. We're coming to the end of the schooling era, which is kind of cool. Later on in the year, I'll be going. Well, my daughter will be getting married in late September. They've already set a date. But before that, I'll be traveling to the International Congress of Voice Teachers in Toronto. So that's very exciting. I'm presenting at that conference. And so I'll be telling you more about that and what I'll be presenting in the lead up to that. We'll save that for a different time. So that it's looking like a big year for Dr. Dan. In some respects, not as big as a year as it's going to be for those around me, but I'm along for the ride, so that's good. As far as the show goes, we're going to do some Q&A a little bit later, by the way. If you've got questions that you've been holding on to for the last 2 months, then start lining your questions up, because we'll get into those. And I should have made a particular mention to say hello to Rebecca and Patricia and Karen from Singwise, and I know Mila, who is one of my private students, is in the house. So hello to all of you who have jumped back in. It's and I've just seen Erwin's jumping in there and saying hello. It's, and I've shared this in the first show, before the first show of a year. I'm always humbled by the fact there are actually people who jump into the first show, because, we turn off for 2 months, for the live show, that is. And so it's always very flattering and, as I said, humbling to have so many of you jump straight back in, first show, ready to go. And it is you who makes this show. It'd be all well and good for me to sit here and prattle for 50 minutes if there wasn't anyone else there listening. But I really do feel like, even though it's my voice that's continually rattling away, I really do feel like we're in a conversation. And a big part of that conversation is you asking your questions, and as a result, I get to answer them. For those of you who don't know how this works, you write your questions into the live chat. You do have to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed before, it will make you require a 5-minute wait. This is a sort of a safety mechanism to get rid of trolls, basically. And then what happens is, once you can apply your question, if you already subscribed, then you don't have to wait. You can just write your question into the chat. Linda grabs your question. She puts them into a live document, which I've got over here. I'm still waiting for an how do I say that word? You can tell it's the first show. I can't talk. I'm waiting for an explanation from Linda as to why she greeted me as anonymous walrus today in the live. What is that all about, Linda? I didn't understand. Anywho, so that's how you ask your question. If you would like to have your question answered with a little bit more of a expedience, because we just answer them in a chronological order, except for those who place a super chat with their question. gets bumped up the line, we try to respond to those. And if you are a member, I'll talk about the memberships again in a second. If you're a member of the channel, which has a monthly, a very, very small, less than a cup of coffee kind of price per month, then you also receive some priority. Let's talk to the show, and in many respects, the show's going to look like it has the last few years. We're going to be having special guests. I've already got special guests lining up as we speak. Can I tell you, I've got some super exciting guests coming up. One in particular, I won't tell you who it is yet, but I am pretty excited to have this person on. In a couple of weeks' time, I think it's in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be having a friend of the channel, a friend of me personally, Zach Bradford, will be coming on. Zach is a singing teacher here in Brisbane, Queensland, where I live. Such a great guy. He's been here on the channel before, and it'll be good to have him back and as our first guest. We're yet to decide on the topic that we're going to tackle, but I can rest assured it will be interesting when he comes on. And I've got other guests lining up as we speak, which is cool. We will be doing the mini topics. The mini topics, I think, for many of you've shared that they've been really positive, so we're going to continue on with those. They're like often there are about 30-minute webinars where we unpack a topic, and I've already listed the topics off that we're gonna get into, and really, I think you're going to get a lot out of those this year, and then just our normal Q&As, which is what we'll do a bit of, as I said, in a moment. And the Q&As are really an opportunity for you to ask those questions that you want answered. I do my humble best to answer the questions. I do not know it all. Never try to suggest that I don't, that I do, that I do. But I know a few things, and more often than not, we're able to give you some good responses to your questions. And sometimes, you throw me a curly one, and I need to go away and do some research and come back and answer those sorts of questions. So that's what we'll be doing with the show this year, and I think it's going to be a great. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to be reminded, and hit that white bell icon. The show happens on a Monday, every Monday, except for public holidays and when I'm on holidays. Every Monday at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And so you can just get that helpful little email reminder from YouTube themselves to let you know that the show is happening. For those of you who want to engage in the community a bit more than just the weekly show, don't forget the Facebook group. If you go across to Facebook, search Facebook, a Voice Essentials community group, you will find us. It is a private group, and it's an opportunity for you, and you join, you simply answer a few questions, and the main one to answer is that you agree to the community rules, the group rules, and it's an opportunity for you to engage with, over 1,000 of us who regularly interact and participate in fun community events. The community event that we are currently conducting is the Valentine's song show thing. I'm recording my song tomorrow for that event. We do a Christmas song, the Secret Singer. We call it the Secret Singer thing. It happens anyway. That was last sort of late November, December. And then this is the second time we've run the Valentine song. So you can imagine the songs are all, lovey-dovey and that sort of stuff. Yeah, so please, if you haven't already joined the Facebook group, come across and do that. Finally, before we get into some Q&A, I did want to just remind you about the memberships that happen here on the channel. We started this late last year, and with the membership, there are three, four. I think it's 3 tiers. I should know that. But I do know that if you are a member of the 2 highest tiers, the second highest tier, you will receive early access to videos before they go live and public. As you know, for a lot of you would know that I release at least one reaction video a week and one pre-recorded educational video per week. And so what we do as a part of the membership is my schedule. Currently I'm editing September for those pre-record videos, if that gives you an idea of how far ahead I am and need to be. And so what happens is you get early access to those videos as soon as my thumbnails are made for those videos. And so that can be literally months ahead of schedule. You get access to see those. And the top tier gets the early access as well as exclusive content. And the exclusive content, remember I was talking about the mini topic webinars that we were just talking about earlier. What I do with those webinars is I edit them down into, I get rid of all the ums and the ahs, and I put some cool B-roll in there, extra animation and stuff, and make them a really tight educational, sometimes they're around about 20-minute videos. And so, yes, you can be a part of the live show and see it live, but you get exclusive access to those edited versions, which are much more succinct and I think better viewing. Did I just slap my own face? I don't know. Anyway, even if there weren't any perks, the membership is actually about supporting the channel. And so I really appreciate those of you who do give the super chats. It's so appreciated. And for the small group that we already have who are members, thank you for being members, because even though, the membership fee, the monthly membership fee is a small amount, I really appreciate your commitment to the channel, and it just helps me to do, what we do here. One other piece of news, just in case you missed it. I've just seen Kelly Morrison. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. Kelly, for example, is a member of the channel. Over the holiday period, in fact, just very recently, late January, I had my biggest ever reaction video go live, and it was of Carrie Underwood singing at the inauguration. Not a political video, definitely not a political video. We were just doing an analysis of her and the situation she found herself in. If you haven't had a chance to watch that, please jump across and have a watch. It got a lot of positive feedback, so I thought I'd let you know that happened. Wowzers, there was a lot of news, wasn't there? I guess we should expect that, given that it's been 2 months since we hung out. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this year. As I said, there's a lot. There is a lot that's going to happen. There is a lot, but I'm looking forward to spending it with you, and seeing your voices grow over time. And in keeping with that, we've got this question that I've asked in the chat, and that is, what's one singing habit? And for those of you who are watching this as a replay, which is most of you, it must be said, for those of you who are watching this as a replay, have a listen to this question, because I want you to ask yourself this question, and you can maybe even give some feedback in the comments section later. What's one singing habit you'd love to leave behind in 2024, and one you would want to build in 2025? I've seen some of the what's it called, the responses coming through in the live chat, and only the ones I kind of glanced at before the show started, and I wonder if it would be right to distill the answers that I've seen so far down to, and I think this is really interesting. Many of you are saying you want to leave fear behind and step into a 2025 where you shirt front that fear and go, no, I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to step into those areas that I've perhaps been held back from previous. Can I endorse that? You are more than likely to succeed with that attitude. You really are. And I want to encourage you to go forward with that sense of leaving, for some of you, that crippling fear behind, to realize your voice in 2025, to really tackle the exciting opportunities that you might be able to take on. Being a part of the Facebook community group, for example, taking up the opportunity to participate in the Valentine's event and the later on in the year, to maybe you could set yourself the task that, hey, I want to get myself ready to participate in the Secret Singer event at the end of the year. All things being equal, that we run it again, because actually it's Kathy Schneider who runs those for us. And so I'm hoping, Kathy, that you'll be free to run that again this year. Maybe that's what you have to aim towards, and to take that risk. Can I tell you, the risk is actually very minimal. It really is. Especially within the safety of the community. It's such an encouraging, supportive group of singers from across the globe who are passionate about the development of their own voice, just like you are. And we're all in this together, and no one's going to hold themselves up higher than thou, because that's not the culture that we've built here at Voice Essentials. And I can tell you, and I don't think recently we've seen any of this behaviour. In the early days, we saw a little bit. The culture comes down hard on those who don't line up on, within those supportive, encouraging parameters. Put it that way, cultural parameters. We need to get to some Q&A, because that's kind of what we do. So let's do it after this. Okay, now to do that, I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to find the questions. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? I think this is the first. Erwin, you get to be the... Oh, hang on. Oh, that's a big question, so it's got to bring it down. Erwin, you get to be the first question for 2025. Congratulations. Hi, Dan. I hope you're great. I am. I sincerely am. I'm feeling really, good. Thank you. How can I relax my digastric muscle? I can reach D sharp 5 quite easy, but from E5 onwards, my rib cage collapses and I lose air very quickly. What do you recommend me? What do you recommend me? Thank you. Is that thank you very much? My kids laugh and laugh at me in my inability to read Gen Y millennial shorthand. So, Erwin, I apologize, but I think I got that one. Thank you very much. To release one's digastric muscle, I don't know that one can actively release the digastric muscle. I could be wrong. It's not, I'm not a physiotherapist, but I wonder whether, firstly, stress could be an issue that leads to a tightening sort of through that diaphragmatic area, the lower portion of the ribs, the upper section of the abdominal area. I also wonder whether reflux could, as an example, could lead to inflammation of that space and therefore a tightening, a constricting response to that musculature. And so as far as, when you're wanting to sing higher from D sharp 5, which is kind of high, up to E5, your rib cage collapses. Certainly body alignment has to play a significant role. When you talk about your rib cage, and we are, by virtue of what you're asking, I'm restricted because I can't see what you're doing. But that tendency to kind of want to collapse, where we have the shoulders roll forward, the rib cage sort of drops, and it's almost like we possibly are getting a sitting into the pelvic floor where the hips rotate a bit and you kind of collapse into that space, the pelvic girdle. It's something to be mindful of, is that sense of alignment. And because we're talking about our alignment from sort of belly button up in that actually lower down into the pelvic girdle, it's very easy to then not think about what's happening below the pelvis, and in fact a big part of our body alignment isn't simply what happens up, but it actually has to be situated on a buoyant, dynamic body state where your legs are creating good dynamic buoyancy through the thighs, knees, ankles, and so that you have that stable platform for the rest of the torso, including your rib cage, to remain. I went to say up, but I don't want to leave you with the impression that we're having a toy soldier position, because that's going to have too much tension to it. We do want to have the sense that the rib cage has the freedom to flare, as it does when we are breathing well. But as far as you noticing that literally over a semitone movement between D sharp 5 to E5, I would need to see you and see what you're doing for me to understand that a little bit further. But take on board what we've just talked about, and hopefully some of what I've just said will prove to be helpful. Rebecca, here we go. Rebecca Martin, one of our regulars. Hey, Rebecca has said, can you refresh me on what is the best exercise to do daily? Or is that too broad of a question considering we all have different ranges? I think you just answered your own question, Rebecca. I think one of the best exercises to do daily is to get really good sleep every night. The mounting research and evidence we have around the benefits of sleep is the pile's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and a big part of the way your voice recovers is with you getting good sleep. And you might go, well, that's a bit of a funny answer. Yeah, but don't underestimate the daily need for great sleep. And, some of us don't, and I don't know, Rebecca, whether you do or you don't, but some people don't have great sleep habits. And if there's anything that I'd be encouraging us all to do this year is to make sure you are improving, where possible, because some of us have, other challenges around our sleep, but in general, improve your sleep habits. As far as the daily exercise, I think you can, it's not a bad thing to, if you're like me, I shower every morning. I like to start my day fresh, and so having just a light hum in the shower can be really good to do. You check in with the voice, see how it's feeling, and so that can be a really positive thing to do. As you know, Rebecca, I'm always reticent to be encouraging daily practice. There are people who do, want to suggest to people that they should practice their voice, practice singing every day. I'm a big advocate for 1 to 2 days of relative vocal rest. Give your voice periods of repair and recovery, and so that's, I think we have to be mindful of that. If you're just starting out, I always encourage, and Rebecca, I know you're not just starting out, but for those of us who are watching perhaps for the first time and you're only just starting, if you're just starting, only practice every second day. Start with 20 minutes, and then a week later add 5 minutes, and a week after that add 5 minutes, and you add 5 minutes until you're building your stamina to the point where you can carry the vocal load of practice for about anywhere between 50 minutes to an hour. And then once that's really in play and you feel like you're holding that, accounting for the fact that there are going to be periods of time of sickness and tiredness where it's not wise for you to sing. So accounting for all of those things, then you can go from every second day up to, as I said, 4 to 5 times a week. And then for those who are, and this is more for working singers, then, 5 to 6 times a week of practice. It does have to, exactly as Rebecca has said there, do we have to consider, people with different ranges? We have to consider not just range, but the sex of the voice, the anatomy of the individual, the physiology, a whole range of factors that do ultimately orientate the answer to an individual. But as far as those regular activities, some of always warm into your exercise, Rebecca, and I know that straw phonation is something that people are, if there's been a fad in voice over the last decade or so, it will be straw phonation. For good reason, it's very, very good. But there are plenty of other activities that you can be doing that are going to provide that sort of balance to your singing. as well, lip bubbles, tongue trills, NGs, pretty much anything from the SOVT, the semi-occluded vocal tract activity family. Rebecca, did I answer your question? I hope so. Answers to that. Oh, we've got a whole range of answers to the habit question. This is the one that we're asking in the chat. And incidentally, I don't have any other questions from you, so I'd love to hear some if you've got some. But let's just quickly look through some of the answers to the habit question. Mila is saying, in 2025, I would like to work on getting rid of my imposter syndrome. Let's see if we can bring these up, actually. I wonder if we can bring some of these up and show you what people are writing. I would like to do that, but I need to... Hang on a second. I will do this. Here we go. So this is what Mila has said. Mila has said, in 2025, I would like... Oh, no. Oh, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Remember I made this mistake last year? There we go. Is it going to come back up? Please stay. Don't move. Okay, in 2025, I would like work on getting rid of my imposter syndrome. I would like to develop a solid routine for practicing in front of various groups of people. And Mila, we're doing that, aren't we, as a part of our lessons together. Imposter syndrome. Oh, Mila, I hear you. I don't think there is anyone amongst us who doesn't get that, I know how challenging the imposter syndrome can be. And it's funny, isn't it? Because we forget that it's very likely that literally everyone else around us is feeling the same. And so, we're going to work together, Mila, to help you overcome that. And I'm looking forward to working with you to overcome that this year. Let's see if I can find, I think Victoria has said she wants to leave behind procrastinating, and for 2025, finally learn to sing. Leaving behind the procrastination will certainly help, Victoria. And certainly, we'll be keen to see you, step onto that journey. It is a skill like any other skill, Victoria, and once you start on that journey of skill acquisition, you are going to find that you will develop. And if you're not already enrolled in my online courses, the online courses will literally step you through it, step by step, in acquiring those skills to achieve that, which would be great. Rebecca has said that she needs to leave behind being so critical of herself and carry into this new year more understanding, not carry as in, I think it should be carry. The reason that jumped out at me is because Carrie Underwood was who I did that review of. Carry into this new year more understanding, knowing that I am still learning. And forever and a day, I hope you continue to, Rebecca. And, for those of us who get to a point where we think we've arrived, that's when you realize you haven't. I've been doing this. This is my 30th year of teaching this year. 30 years. Wowzers. It's just as well I love what I do. And I am on a constant journey of learning. This voice thing, it's so vast in the amount of knowledge. I've shared this little factoid before. Voice is the most studied instrument on the planet. There is no other instrument known to man that has been researched and investigated than any other instrument. You know, flutes and pianos and guitars and bongos, they've all had research done on them, but voice leaves them in their dust for the quantity of research. And it's because there is so much to learn, and there's so much we don't know. And so we're with you, Rebecca. We are all still learning. Neeby has made a point up here. Where did you put your point, Neeby? Where are you? I'm scrolling. Neeby's put plan. Leave behind the fast practices that don't turn into finished songs, and add more variety, extra fun to some songs, self-duets. Nice. Very good, Neeby. And, you know, it's something I advocate for here at the channel is the Learn to Sing journey is a slow burn. And I think that the helpful thing is when you approach it as such, it reduces the anxiety that it's not happening fast enough. If you're able to settle into the journey, understand that it will happen, that it will take place over time, but you do have to put in the time. Yes, there are plenty of places online here on YouTube who will show you, 5 easy steps, and suddenly you're supposed to be singing like who knows who. And I'm thinking of one particular creator, and it's recently been shown that this creator is using auto-tune, a pitch correction, I should say, in all of their examples online. There is no shortcuts. Well, there are, but they're kind of fake. The rest of us who are just mere humans, we have to take the long road because we have human biology, and human biology takes time to craft and develop, and so yeah, I like that. I personally love the journey. I say to my students, don't circumnavigate the journey. It has too much to teach you. And, these, modern day things, the TV talent shows, etc. We're about to have Australian Idol on our TVs again. Well, literally it started last night. These zero to hero, we're not looking for great singers. This is what they've been saying on the ad. We're not looking for great singers. We're looking for idols. What does that even mean? Anywho, I'm sure the person who said it would say, well, if you were an idol, you'd understand. Yeah, you can have that. I'm not interested. What I'm interested in seeing human beings develop those who want to develop their voice, but take the journey to see that happen. We have got one more question, and then we're gonna call it for the day, I think. Where we go? Oh, here we go. This is from Neeby. As to your discussion, how about humming into kazoo for side exercises? I have seen the kazoo used. I think you would want to make, Neeby, I think you would want to make sure, and you may well know how to do this, by virtue of how the kazoo needs to work, I think you would want to make sure that you are doing it correctly, because there is a lot of opportunity. It's all too easy to form constriction at the level of the larynx and the vocal folds whilst using a kazoo. And you just want to make sure that you are doing it with a really free flow of air without that muscular angst. And so certainly don't want to suggest no to the kazoo, but be mindful that it comes, it's got a little bit of a challenge to it. It's a bit like lip bubbles. You know, often when I'm teaching a student lip bubbles for the first time, they can be a bit surprised at some of the little technicalities that have to be observed to do them well. And so it would be the same with the kazoo, I think. If you're interested in learning how to do lip bubbles well, you can check out. I'll leave a. We'll put a. I'll put a link in there somewhere, Linda. There's a video over in the channel about how to do lip bubbles well. We'll have to leave a link for you all. I think we're gonna call. Well, we need to actually. It's 1:45, and it's been. I've just seen Linda has said it might be good for warming up the voice. Yeah, because it's going to cause a semi-occlusion. It's a bit like straw phonation, the kazoo, and so yeah, there you go. Bradley Munro has just said hello. Happy New Year. Hello, Bradley. Good to have you back with us. And we are going to call it on the first show of 2025. And I know I haven't mentioned technicalities of running the show before now, but I'm glad we got through the first show without any technical hitches, because can you remember at the end of last year again I was having a few little niggles here and there. We got through everything okay, but it was but by the hair of my chin. And so I think having upgraded software and over the Christmas, I upgraded to Windows 11 over Christmas, with a great sense of nervousness, because when you change anything on a computer setup like mine, things can go and do go awry. So I'm just glad we've kind of ticked all of those boxes. Next week we are back. We're going to be doing what are we going to be doing? A Q&A. So please come ready. We only had 3 questions, and because we are starting out for the year, we don't have any what's the right word? Banked questions that we haven't got to in the past. Sometimes I'll go back and answer some questions from previous weeks. We don't have any previous weeks yet. So please come ready with your questions, and we will answer those in due course. Again, please, if you can, if you're able to, I'd love for you to support the channel with a membership. That'll be really helpful as we continue into the year. And it's going to be a good one. 2025 is going to be a good year for you and for me. And I'm looking forward. Of course, I'm saying that with, I can't promise anything. But we're going into it with the right attitude. That's the key. I very much look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great week. I'll see you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.